Thomas Jane and Kai Murakami are playing McCoy and Sulu, respectively, in what I guess is the series finale of Strange New Worlds. Really? We're bothering to start casting our TOS crew at the last possible minute, and we're getting Thomas Jane. Now, I don't mean to disparage, um, the other actors that we've had. Certainly, an actor you've never heard of can turn out to be the best actor ever. Um, but it would seem like Thomas Jane kind of comes or belongs to a bracket of actors that our other actors are not really in. Uh, I would have hoped that you would be thinking of casting a higher caliber, a higher known, a more wow factor actor for Captain Kirk. But here we're getting Thomas Jane apparently as Bones for at least the finale, whatever that means. That could be one episode in season 5, as in the 6th episode, as we transition into TOS, whether we like it or not. Thomas Jane is an actor I believe people on the street might recognize. He's been in movies before, and he's been in popular TV shows. Uh, I'm not disparaging again Strange New Worlds itself. I don't know how popular it is. I don't know exactly how these numbers work out, and I think they do try to obfuscate that in some way. But I do know the sense data I get from my eyes, and I don't see it trending online. I don't see people really talking about it. I don't see people dressing up. I don't see merchandise around, but that's not the point of this video. The point of the video is Thomas Jane, a stunt cast. What you do with a stunt cast is you don't cast necessarily who you think fits the best. You cast someone who turns heads, right? And I think if we're trying to get this, what do they want to call it? Star Trek Year One, Star Trek One, the kind of, remake show of TOS, God forbid, that they're trying to kind of preload into this. It's not a secret that Strange New Worlds has been loaded with TOS characters. It probably shouldn't be there. Well, definitely shouldn't be there. Like Kirk, um, and then Scotty. The amount of time they're on screen together here. Once again, they can't leave things well enough alone. Number one. Number two, they have to keep nostalgia baiting you into watching. Are we going to see Cisco in Academy? But that's a lot more possible than having Captain Kirk on the Enterprise for as long as we've had him on the Enterprise in this Strange New World show. But Thomas Jane, I think that's meant to just make you go, huh? What? Thomas Jane? Really? And Kai Murakami? I don't know who that is either, but it even says he's a fresh face. Like he's from the stage. He's a stage actor, which that's good. That's a compliment, right? For our Star Trek characters coming straight off the stage. There's history with that, and them doing good on Star Trek itself. But Thomas Jane, I think that's a way to kind of like try to springboard, or force into existence the new Star Trek show that would come after Strange New Worlds. But is this entire endeavor pointless? I'm not here to speculate about what's going to happen to, I mean, call it Kurtzman Trek. That's this era of Star Trek. It's not. How else do I describe it? The new Trek, the Kurtzman Trek, the Trek that's been around since Discovery, and I mean he's been around since 2009, really, but that's neither here nor there. Is it going to survive long enough to have Thomas Jane actually continue as McCoy? I don't know. Everyone's saying that it could be just 2026 and that's it. Or what are we going to get? We got 16 more episodes of Strange New Worlds to go, and like 20 Academy, because they got 2 seasons, I think, in the bag. Although it's not unheard of for a show to have a season filmed and then have it be scrapped. Uh, it's unfortunate, but it does happen when it's cheaper to not release it, or they know they got a real stinker. I have no idea. But Thomas Jane and this Kai Murakami character, they're announcing this so early too, and par for the course for modern Star Trek is to announce things way in advance. Like, we have 2 more seasons of this coming, but you won't be seeing it for another 3 years. Seasons take forever, and they greenlight 2 or 3 at a time because I think they're filming them back to back or something. Crazy, isn't it? But maybe this announcing this so early is another effort to kind of like get a bargaining chip in Kurtzman's corner in terms of having like secret hideout and that milieu stay around beyond Strange New Worlds. I don't know. I'm only reading the tea leaves here. I'm not sure what's really going on, but I couldn't help but think this as soon as I read about Thomas Jane being in McCoy. And I noticed I haven't said anything about the casting choice. Like, I haven't said if this fits or not, because frankly, I don't know how big of a factor that is. I'm never really going to love anyone replaying these characters that I've already known. There's no way to do it. It's one of those things that's so hard to do it, you might as well not try. I mean, I didn't think the casting was terrible in 2009, but I definitely think Paul Wesley, I believe that's his name, the person playing Kirk now, I think he actually kind of, over time, I'm liking it a little bit more. I like the performance is good and the visuals are bad. He doesn't look or feel like Captain Kirk, but the performance is okay. And for other actors, that could be the opposite, the inversion. But just in terms of, do you want it? I would say no. Like I said before, as soon as you're doing a prequel, even Star Trek Enterprise, I like Star Trek Enterprise, but as soon as you're doing a prequel, your franchise has gone from living, and it's begun the process of dying. You're looking backwards, right? Fundamentally, and you're looking backwards in a franchise like Star Trek. My goodness. People have wanted since forever to move forward, to do more, to go further out. It's not, it must not be lost on them that when they switched Discovery to being set in the far future, they broke free of canon in a way and then were able to do what they wanted. They wanted to have their cake and eat it too. We wanted our Spock relative, but we wanted to break free from canon at the same time. So we had to have Discovery start in the past and then move to the distant future, when it should have been in the distant future to begin with. I'm not saying anything new here. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think this is probably the majority opinion. Star Trek is doing best when it's just not bogged down in canon. Not breaking canon. You don't have to break canon to go to the future. What happened before happened. But now this is the future, and these are our new characters. We used to be able to do that easily. We made it look easy in the 90s with TNG. That was the 80s, technically. Deep Space Nine, Voyager. We made it look simple. And then it just started getting really hard. And in the last, 20 years, we'll say, it'll be nice to say 20 years, but it's not really. Star Trek has been, its output is connected to its input. It's become self-aware and indulging in its own eccentricities, its own little, its own canon, its own things like that. And instead of creating something new, it's just a regurgitation of things. You have to know so much about Star Trek to understand some of these things. And yet we're making a show, Strange New Worlds, it is presumably for new viewers. I don't know how it works. Like, is Lower Decks funny if you've never seen Star Trek at all? I don't know. But the point is this a marketing tactic? Is this a trick? Is this not a trick on us? Is this a trick on executives? Is this a trick to sell them on the idea of a new Star Trek show? Remaking, in a sense, TOS itself as a show and not a movie with Thomas Jane. I know you maybe didn't want us to continue on this lot filming our new Trek stuff, our Kurtzman Trek, as it were. But what about if we had Thomas Jane? How expensive was it to get him for one episode in the finale? Some of these, I do know this accounting stuff doesn't work out how the layman would think. You would often think that just one guest appearance is really expensive, and then having them around for the entire series is like more expensive, but it's not exactly how that works out. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but contract stuff It is very, very complicated. And things can be way more expensive than you think or way more cheaper than you think. But uh, what do you think? Is Thomas Jane a stunt cast? And if it is, what are the tactics behind it? What is their goal? Is he a bargaining chip? I have no idea. But I do know people know Thomas Jane, and they probably don't know who I'm talking about when I say Anson Mount. We know, but we need to, get out there in space and talk to average people and see what they're really thinking. It's very important, a barometer for what the layman is thinking. And yes, you have to impress them, right? It's not enough to impress me and you, the Star Trek viewers. We have to impress Joe Blow on the street. We have to get people watching. And best of all is when we can do both. Very difficult, though. Anyway, I'm Lieutenant Mark, and I'll see you when next time I see you. So long.